They say family is everything, but I've learned the hard way. Family can also be the sharpest knife in your back. It happened during what was supposed to be the dream trip I planned for my mother and sister, a trip I paid for. A trip I organized from scratch, every ticket, every room, every single detail. But somehow, by the end of it, I was the villain in their story. And they? They were the ones who showed me exactly what I meant to them. Let me take you back. It was my idea. My mother had just retired, and my sister had finished grad school. Life had been stressful, complicated, full of emotional landmines. So I thought, what better way to bring us all together than a girls' trip? A peaceful week in the mountains. No work, no distractions, just us. Just healing. Just laughter. Just love. I spent 2 months researching the perfect locations. Somewhere quiet but beautiful. Scenic but not crowded. I wanted my mother to wake up to soft pine-scented air and my sister to finally relax for once. And if I'm being honest, I wanted some time to feel like we were a family again. You know that feeling when you try so hard to fix something that's already broken? Yeah, I should have listened to that part of me that hesitated. But I didn't. Instead, I poured everything into that trip. Flights? Booked. Hotel? Reserved and prepaid on my card. Excursions, restaurants, even little surprises? Covered. Every single expense, paid with the money I'd saved up over months. And not once did I ask them for help. Not once did I make it about me. I just wanted us to be happy. To feel like we belonged to each other again. I thought they'd appreciate it. I thought maybe, just maybe, they'd see how hard I was trying. But from the moment we left for the airport, I started noticing the signs. Small things. My sister snickering at my outfit. My mom scrolling her phone instead of answering me. They talked to each other in hushed tones, exchanging glances like I was just extra luggage. But I kept smiling. I kept pretending. Because that's what I've been taught to do. Be the peacekeeper. The fixer. The one who makes everyone else comfortable. Even at the cost of your own comfort. Even if it slowly chips away at your heart. When we landed, things only got worse. My sister complained about the room, which, by the way, had a balcony view and a private hot tub. My mom snapped when I tried to suggest dinner plans. They shut me down like I was some clingy friend crashing their girls' getaway. And still, I kept quiet. I kept trying. But by the third day, I started realizing something brutal. This trip wasn't about us at all. It was about them. Their fun, their connection, their dynamic where I was always the outsider looking in, like a stranger in my own family. Then came the breaking point. We were sitting in the car, getting ready to drive to a local lake I had booked a sunset cruise on. I reminded them that we had to be on time because the cruise didn't wait. That's when my mom exploded. Out of nowhere. She actually screamed, "Can you stop ruining the trip with your nagging? Just leave. Go back to the hotel or something. You're always ruining things." I froze. My sister just sat there, smirking. Not one word of defense. Not 1 ounce of kindness. Like they had finally shown their true face and didn't care that I saw it. My voice caught in my throat. My hands started shaking. Because I wasn't yelling. I wasn't even upset. I had just been trying. And suddenly I was the enemy. That was the moment something in me broke. Not in the sad, defeated way. In the quiet, resolute kind of way. The kind of break that wakes you up. So I got out of the car. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just walked. And I left. If this story hit something deep in you, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. There's so much more coming, stories that speak the truth others are too afraid to say. I walked back to the hotel. Alone. No one followed me. No one called. No apology text. No "where are you?" Just silence. And in that silence, something inside of me came alive. The silence didn't feel cold anymore. It felt peaceful. Because for the first time, I wasn't chasing their approval. I wasn't trying to fix what they kept breaking. I was just letting them be who they were. and I was finally letting myself walk away from it. When I got to the hotel, I went straight to the front desk. I said, "Hi, I'd like to check out." The clerk blinked. "But the reservation is for 3 more nights." "I know," I said, "but it's under my name. My card." I made the booking. He nodded slowly, then asked the question that changed everything. "Would you like to cancel the entire stay?" I paused, my heart pounding. I looked out the glass doors, the trees swaying outside, sunlight catching the mountains in the distance, and I smiled. "No," I said. "Just take my name off the room. Remove my card. Let them know they'll need to provide a new payment method at check-in." His eyebrows lifted, but he said nothing. He just clicked a few things, printed something, and handed me a receipt. I went to my room, packed every bag. I didn't leave a note, didn't slam the door. I just walked out of that place like a ghost who finally got free from haunting a house that no one wanted her in. I got in an Uber, made a few calls, booked a new place for myself, a quiet cottage by the water. And when I got there, I took the deepest breath I had taken in years. The kind of breath that doesn't feel like survival, but arrival. I poured a glass of wine, sat on the porch, and watched the sky melt into dusk. Then I turned my phone off, because for once they could figure it out on their own. 3 hours later, 3 missed calls from my mother, 2 texts from my sister, and 1 voicemail that still lives rent-free in my head. "Where are you? We just got to the hotel and your reservation is gone. They said we have to pay again, but Mom's card isn't going through. Call us now." I smiled. Not out of pettiness, not out of revenge, but because that was the moment they felt it. The consequence, the absence, the loss. They weren't just short a room, they were short me. The one who had done it all, planned it, paid for it, held it all together. And they thought they could break me? Push me out? Erase me? Now they were stuck. No room, no help, no backup. And I was on the other side of town, watching fireflies, listening to the breeze, and finally at peace. I didn't call them back that night, or the next day. They figured something out, I'm sure. Used her backup card, found a cheap place. Who knows? But I knew what mattered most. They got a taste of what it felt like to be left behind, to be dismissed, to be unimportant, to be the problem. Like they'd made me feel my entire life. And the best part? I didn't raise my voice once. I didn't stoop to their level. I let life speak for me, and it spoke loudly. When I finally flew home, it was days before they reached out again. And when they did, it wasn't to apologize. It was to pretend nothing had happened. "Hey," my sister texted. "Hope you're okay. Trip was kinda wild. You back?" No mention of their explosion. No ownership of their cruelty. Just that casual, gaslighting tone that made me question if I had imagined the whole thing. But I hadn't. I still had the receipt. Still had the screenshots of the booking cancellation. Still had the voicemail of them panicking when they realized what they'd lost. But I didn't need to prove it to anyone. I just replied, "Glad you had a good trip." And then I blocked them both. Not forever, but until I decided they'd earned their way back, if ever. Because here's what no one tells you. Sometimes the strongest form of revenge isn't destruction. It's distance. It's silence. It's the peace that comes from no longer trying to convince people to treat you like you matter. It's walking away and letting them feel your absence. That's what I did, and they felt it ever since. If this story resonated with you, take a second to like and subscribe to our channel. We share stories that speak what your heart has always wanted to say. So what did I learn? I learned that being the peacekeeper doesn't mean being a doormat, that love isn't real if it's only shown when it's convenient, and that you don't owe anyone your presence when they've made it clear they don't value your heart. I still think about that trip sometimes. The air, the mountains, the plans I made. But now I don't think of it as a failure. I think of it as the moment I finally chose myself. Fully, completely, unapologetically. And I've never gone back to who I was before that. Sometimes your breakthrough doesn't come through someone holding you. Sometimes it comes when they push you out and you realize you can fly. So I'll leave you with this. Have you ever been the one they blamed, even though you were the only one holding everything together? Tell me your story in the comments. I want to hear from you. It's strange, isn't it? How the people who hurt you most often act like nothing ever happened, as if your pain was just a moment, an inconvenience, something that should pass. But it doesn't pass. Not really. It lingers. It whispers when you're lying awake, remembering the words they said. It stings when you open social media and see them smiling together, without you. It aches when you remember how hard you tried, how little it mattered. After I blocked them, I kept expecting the guilt to come, but it didn't. Instead, I felt lighter, like I'd taken off a coat I didn't realize I'd been wearing all my life. A coat stitched with invisible expectations, with old wounds hidden under polite smiles, with years of just let it go and don't make things worse and you're overreacting. I wasn't overreacting. I was finally reacting. Finally choosing not to ignore what had always been there, the imbalance, the blame, the constant emotional tug-of-war. And it wasn't until I removed myself that I could see how long I had been playing a game where I never got to win. A few weeks later, I got a call from my aunt. She's always been the quiet observer in the family, the one who doesn't say much, but sees everything. I heard about what happened, she said gently. I braced myself. Here it comes, I thought. Another person telling me to forgive, to go back, to fix things. But she surprised me. I'm proud of you, she said. I didn't say anything. I just cried. Because sometimes all it takes is one voice that doesn't question your pain. One person who doesn't ask you to explain. Who just sees you. She told me things I didn't know. That my mom had always favored my sister. That even as a child, I was seen as too emotional. That no matter how much I achieved, it was never enough, not because of me, but because of their own limitations. She said, you were never the problem. You were just the one brave enough to feel everything they refused to face. That stuck with me. Still does. Because when you're the black sheep, the scapegoat, the difficult one, you start to believe that you are broken. But sometimes you're just the only one who's awake. Revenge is a funny thing. People think it's loud, explosive, petty. But the best kind of revenge is subtle, quiet, personal. It's living a life where you no longer need their permission to be happy. It's laughing without guilt, loving without fear, thriving in places they never thought you'd reach. And most of all, it's knowing they'll think of you every time something goes wrong and wonder if maybe they shouldn't have pushed you away. 1 month after that trip, my mother tried to reach out again. This time through a letter. It was 4 paragraphs of excuses and not a single sentence of accountability. She said she was tired that day, that I had misunderstood, that I overreacted. It was gaslighting on paper. But here's what I did. I mailed it back, unopened. Blank sticky note attached, respectfully returned to sender. No longer accepting emotional debt. I never heard from her again. And that was the most peaceful silence I've ever known. The months after that trip were filled with rediscovery. I took a solo vacation to the coast, started therapy, made new friends who didn't know the old version of me, the one who bent and twisted herself to be enough. I learned to cook for myself, to celebrate my own milestones, to stop explaining my choices to people who never listened. One evening, while journaling, I wrote a sentence that changed everything. Just because they're family doesn't mean they're safe. And I meant it. Because love should not come with wounds attached. It should not cost you your peace. It should not leave you crying in the dark, wondering what you did wrong when all you did was love them too much. And if that kind of love is the only kind they offer, you're allowed to walk away from it. If you've ever been the one blamed, forgotten, guilted, or dismissed, if you carried the weight of keeping the peace when no one kept it for you, if you've been made to feel like you were too much, Too emotional, too sensitive, too intense. Let me tell you something no one else might. You were never too much. They were just too unwilling to meet you where your heart lived. And your pain? It's real. Your story? It matters. Your healing? It's happening even now just by reading this. So take the trip alone. Block the number. Cancel the reservation. Say no. Reclaim your peace. You don't owe anyone an explanation for protecting your heart. And trust me, one day they'll remember what it felt like when you were the one who made everything work. And they'll wish they hadn't let you go. But by then, you'll already be far, far away, living the life you should have had all along. Free, unapologetic, whole. If this story touched your soul, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. We create real, raw stories that remind you you're not alone. You're never alone. Now let me ask you this. Have you ever had to walk away from someone you thought would never hurt you just to find peace? Share your story in the comments. We're listening.